Risco, and the Marc and Myra Show starts now on Sirius XM's Studio 54 Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome. You're here on the Marc and Myra Show on Studio 54 Radio, Sirius XM Channel 54. I'm Marc Benecke. I work the door at Studio 54. My co-host is Ms. Myra Scheer, and she was the Executive Director of the Call List and Special Assistant to Steve Rebell and Ian Schrager. Hey Myra, how's it going?
Well, Marc, it's a disco inferno day, isn't it? So,
yes, it is.
So let's bring it on to the night, because we have a very special, fun guest for all of you out there in studio satellite radio land. Marc is going to open the velvet ropes to somebody he opened the velvet ropes to many, many times, many, many years ago. In fact, at least over 54 times. And how do we know that? Because he actually wrote a beautiful little, I would call it a handbook about it. So welcome to the Marc and Myra Show, author Bob Hay.
Hello, Marc. Hello, Myra. It's a pleasure.
Welcome, Bob. Welcome.
Well, we love you're in marketing, and you kind of marketed your own book that's called 54 Nights. Tell us a little bit about that. Actually, tell us a lot about that.
Well, first, I never ever envisioned writing a book. But for some reason, after the visits, I kept little notes the next day and wrote down the songs because we were always on the lookout for good new songs. And then 2 years ago, I thought about writing it and said to our daughter, I'm thinking about writing a book, but I don't know, it's worthless. And Annie looked at me and said, Dad, why don't you give it a try?
Now, does your daughter know what Studio 54? Had she heard of it?
She'd only heard a little bit about it, and I give her a little flavor. And as a parent, when your kid says, why don't you try something, you have to give it a shot. So I started writing it about a year ago, tried to quit many times, questioned the worth of it. A couple of friends egged me on, and just kept going.
Is that why we haven't written the book, Marc, because we don't have kids? It could be. So let's go back to go forward. What brought you to New York in the 70s?
I got out of college in New England in mid-70s, and a couple of friends were going to New York, suggested I do a work-study program with a finance firm. Came to the city for what I thought were 2 years and got a grad degree. Timing happened to coincide with the arrival of Studio about 12 months later. My roommate was there first week. He kept telling stories, and I was too blockheaded to even pay attention to him for about 4 or 5 months. Went there in the fall for the first time and fell in love with it in 30 seconds.
And the financial people weren't exactly the people that were part of they were some pepper in the salad, but it wasn't like, the tomato. But, that said, Bob, did you ease right in?
So, Myra, I called myself iceberg lettuce if there were tomatoes. My friend had given me 3 pieces of advice. Bring the prettiest woman I could find, which I did. Dress to the nines, which I did. And get there early. Got there at 10:15, had no idea what to expect. Walked up to the ropes, and this stylish guy says 2, and I just nodded, and we were through. That stylish guy was Marc, and we went in. We walked up to the first doors, and there's this beautiful Asian woman.
Yejan. Shout out to hello, Yejan. We'll let you know about the show so you can listen to it.
She had that wonderful, deep, sultry voice and was nice as could be. We walked inside, and we're still trying to think, what the hell just happened at the front door? We're in quicker than we could realize, and just the walls were throbbing with music. Walked down by the bar, got out from under the hanging balcony and saw the lights and just thought, oh my God. And we had never seen anything like it, and we're just mesmerized for 5 hours.
So it was your date's first time as well?
It was.
So by now, like the studio opened in April, so by fall, what was it was quite a buzz out by then. Was it more about getting rejected by then? Was that the fear?
I think so, yeah. We went early the first few times and didn't experience that. We experienced it about a month later, and then we began to understand. When you get down to 54th Street, and I'm a tall guy, and you wouldn't know if Marc would even see you, let alone let you in, but the crowd was besieging him. I estimated 200 in the book on some of those nights, and I think I'm low looking at the photographs.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you thought to take notes, like right away? Did you take notes the first time you went?
I did. A company that did business with my dad's company gave them free pocket diaries every year. Dad passed them on to me. We're thrifty New Englanders. We don't throw away anything. And I don't know why. I think we had this intuitive sense that this was magic. You know, we weren't visionaries, but I think we'd never seen anything like this. We like to throw good parties. Studio was a candy store. We wish we could have thrown our own party.
Literally, we had a candy room, so yes.
And I took little notes, took down the playlist, tucked them away in a drawer, and forgot that I had them for 2 decades, honestly.
Well, honestly, Bob, we are about to begin our 7th year in September, and I don't think we've ever had anybody who took notes, Mark. We do call ourselves the class of 54, but none of us took notes. I wish we had, because maybe we'd have more documented. But we're so grateful that you took notes, and you took the playlist, Mark, and we're going to play songs from that playlist.
Absolutely. And we're going to first hear Music Is My Life by Miss Patti LaBelle. Everybody, you're listening in on the Marc and Myra Show on Studio 54 Radio. I'm Marc Benecke. I work the door at Studio 54. My co-host is Ms. Myra Scheer, and she was Executive Director of the Call List of Studio 54 and Special Assistant to Steve Rebell and Ian Schrager.
And Mark, this particular show is dedicated, I think, to the class of 54 because none of us took notes, but our guest tonight certainly did and has published a book about it called 54 Nights. So we're so happy to have you on the show, Bob Hay. What took you so long to find us? Or why just 2 years ago? I mean, because your daughter, you just thought the 40th anniversary is coming up?
The 40th was a target in some sort because I thought those of us who went there in the first 3 years were probably 20 to 35. So at the 40th, we'd be 60 to 75. We could still pretend we're young. At the 50th, we could incredibly pretend we were young. And so that was the thought process behind it.
Well, it was the same way the class thought, because one of our people said, if I don't come to the 40th, then you couldn't even make it because she lives in Spain. But I love the way you titled each night a specific subject. Tell us about that.
Well, I just tried to pick out a theme. So the first one's immersion, simply because one of the lines I have in the book is there was no disco ball. This wasn't disco. This was all-enveloping sensory immersion. The second one, and maybe it's the most important word to be associated with studio, is freedom. Because in the branding world, we constantly try to simplify brands down to one simple word like access for Google. And if I had to pick one for studio, I'd pick freedom. We were free of our cares, free to be yourself, free to dress as you want. I imagine for celebrities, it was freedom to let your guard down and be normal for a night within this crazy space.
So did you actually get up on the dance floor and let loose as a financial person?
I'm a very self-conscious, mediocre dancer, but my best friend my best friend were the column lights. Because I'm used to towering over people on the dance floor, and with the column lights there, the columns towered over me.
So you actually danced with the column lights? Because I did too. I did too. Yeah, and it's not like, we were born to dance, but there was something about it that took over. It was like Body Snatcher. And all of a sudden, because I was shy too, and when I went to pot festivals in the 70s, and these people were dancing by themselves, and I would sit and watch. But with studio, all of a sudden I'm like powerless and on the dance floor.
I think if you weren't uninhibited in the first place, all the lights were just fabulous, but I think the columns more than anything else just set you free.
Well, and that Moon and the Spoon, what'd you think of that?
Loved it. I always remember that coming down at signature moments in songs, and South Soul Orchestra had a song called Magic Bird of Fire, which was, I forget which classical composer did Firebird, but there was a recut of that.
Stravinsky,
I think, right? Yeah. And then right at the end, as it hit a crescendo, that the Moon and Spoon would come down. In the book I say, that triggered copycat behavior from some in the room. But
Well, you think about it, because at our class reunion, we gave out prints of it, and they actually was very controversial. I mean, we couldn't have that image today because it was so blatant. I mean, maybe you could tell your daughter there was salt in that spoon, but it was, you wouldn't do that today. I mean, I guess part of it was the freedom, which was the word then, because we didn't know what a prison those drugs would eventually become for some of us.
you're right, you couldn't do it today. You'd be sued, or it'd be all over social media in a split second, I think. Whether everyone was naive or whether it was just the boundless freedom inside. I think all of us are amazed in hindsight at what went on in the studio.
Well, now I'm kind of amazed that you felt this calling again to take notes. Was there any other aspect of your life where you kind of did the same thing, or it was only at Studio 54?
Not really, a little bit, but mostly studio. And I threw everything else out decades ago. And I have no idea why I kept the 3 years, 77, 78, 79. Like I said earlier, I had no visions of writing a book.
Yeah, and the pictures that you have, where did you get it? So he has, colored pictures, and it's mostly of the actual physical club.
He's got the slides with him.
Oh, you have the slides with him. All right. So you took the slides?
Yeah.
I had a cheap, I can't even remember what kind of camera it was, probably a Kodak Instamatic or something like that. I shot one roll on it because that's all I could afford on Ektachrome film, and they were tucked in a closet, long forgotten about, on one box of 38 slides. And I didn't shoot, apart from a couple of friends, I didn't shoot people because I thought that was invasive.
And that was the culture then, because that's what I was going to say. We didn't take pictures of anybody with celebrities. Like, that just wasn't, we just didn't do that. We didn't ask anybody for autographs. So it's not unusual to have, not taken pictures of, I think we only had one person we worked with, Lenny.
Yeah.
Me Storm Serpent now, who actually took pictures of employees behind the scenes. And they're so rare and they're so coveted. And now it's, you can't eat ice cream without being posted on social media. So, and you actually kept your notes as well. So you kept everything and boxed it away?
Yeah, I did, and you're looking at, I think, a note of the playlist, and those index cards I'd literally forgotten about. I opened a drawer, I think last summer, as about 4 months into the book, and I thought, I should have kept the playlist. I don't know what I did with them. Then I opened the drawer, there they were, and was shocked actually to find them. But the music, I mentioned we had thrown a number of parties in Brown and in college and in New York, and we always wanted the latest music from the clubs. So that was probably why. We had no interest in rented DJs. We had no interest in popular pop music that were tried and true hits. We wanted off the radar screen innovative songs.
Yeah, and no pictures of like Rollerina or the Naked Bride, Marianne, but you were, you just captured, the energy of it right in this little handbook. And let's play one of the songs that's right out of the playlist.
Absolutely.
Bob Hay. Although it's RJ Hay Jr. is credit for 54 Nights.
And I would love to hear Super Sweet by Ms. Wardell Piper, who's been a guest on our show.
Love you, Wardell.
It's XM Studio 54, Radio Channel 54, coming to you from New York City, the capital of the world. And thanks for listening in on the Marc and Myra show today. How's it going, Myra? Myra Scheer.
And Marc Benecke, it is going really, really great because we have a wonderful guest. We love talking with him. He has a photographic memory and a book called 54 Nights. I mean, how many nights did you say you went? About 200?
95.
95 nights. Wow, I think that is pretty incredible. Because, I remember when I took my niece to see Ninja Turtles, she wanted to go 11 more times. And that's it. I never was like that as a kid. We didn't want to repeat, but we did want to repeat Studio 54. So how did you pick out of those 95? You had notes on every night?
Yeah, but a lot of them were pathetically short. So between...
But you could do a 54-second version, the sequel.
Between
41.
Good memory, Marc. I'm impressed.
I think just where I could find a little bit of fodder to write, and sometimes it was one little thing, like remembering there was snow on the dance floor, artificial snow back in December '78, and that triggered memories of a crowd from a debutante party being there because they were all in white tie and tails. But sometimes just look for one interesting little nugget that I remember.
Okay, so you were there 95 nights. How many nights did you try to get in?
95.
You got in every night? You did? That's quite a feat. So by then you knew Marc, because Marc, you did say you remembered him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When I saw him the second,
Do you want a story about how it was almost 94?
Yes. You don't mind, Marc.
That's a chapter, actually. One night, my friend and I got a call from a friend in the Midwest saying two of her friends were in town. Could we go? Could we take them? So we met them in town. We never met them before. And we could tell that their attire wasn't studio friendly. But
That's a very soft and marketing branding way to put it. Very kind.
We said, what the hell? It's inappropriate to comment. So we went down. It was a Thursday night in August, and we waited by the left side of the rope. It was relatively early. Marc's on the right side. There aren't that many people. We know he's seen us, but he doesn't come over. 10 or 15 minutes later, he comes over and just very softly says, "I'm sorry, we're full tonight." And as I say in the book, we knew what he meant, and we knew what he meant.
He told me, don't touch me.
I had matured by that.
You know, he could. I never realized, Myra, he could have made it really uncomfortable for us.
That was
and he did.
Very nice.
He didn't. And so we said to the young ladies, I guess it's not our night. We walked them over to New York. As they started to go in, we just looked at each other and said, you know, it's a weeknight. We better get some sleep. We have to go to work the next day. And J.A., my friend, and I just turned around, walked back to 54th. Marc just gives us a deadpan look, drops the rope, and in we went.
So you wound up going back in. Oh, my God.
Priorities, Myra.
Well, at least you didn't leave them in front of the, go in. And Marc, that was, Steve might have let you in and not, you would have had to choose.
Yeah,
at least you didn't
to.
have Sophie's choice, and I shouldn't use that so dramatically, but you know what I mean. And it was like, so that was great. So how many people can say 95 out of 95? How many people kept track? But there's got to be somebody else out there that did this. I mean, you're the first.
We never asked why. I mean, I always assumed a friend had said, bring the most attractive date you could find, which I always tried to do, or I'm tall. And there were an inordinate amount of tall women at studio in the early days. And a friend, when he heard I went there a lot, said, this confirms my tall guy theory, Bob. And I always assumed it was either height or date, and I was riding coattails.
So did you go with your friend most of the time? Because I know you've mentioned.
To a degree, our dates were other friends. Then we had a group, probably about a dozen or so. Periodically, different people would go. So, it was fun solo. It was fun with two. It was a ball with the group.
Now, did you tell people you could get them into Studio 54? Did you kind of work it and use it to better your career?
No, I wasn't smart enough to.
Well, but also because you never know. Because that was, if you can imagine having a big client and getting rejected.
I thought it was a privilege, Myra. So many people, friendships dissolved over this when friends could get in and the others couldn't. My tennis buddy in Rhode Island said to me this summer, he said, I never got in, Bob. And
were you trying to sell him your book?
You
got to give him a free copy. Right. But that said, were your peers envious? Did they want to go with you, or did you kind of keep it quiet?
I tried to keep it quiet.
Yeah.
I
think we all did.
We all did. Yeah. We said we worked for Broadway Catering Corporation. I didn't tell anybody I worked for Studio 54.
I always thought that was respectful as studio, actually. On the one hand, it was over-the-top fun and lights display, but people were subtle at studio. Marc didn't put on a show at the door. He just did his job. The bartender did his twirl. It wasn't a garish, over-the-top place.
And did you have any particular celebrity sightings that you recall? I know there were many, but one that kind of stuck out.
I probably missed 3/4 of the celebrities were there on nights when I was there because either I wasn't looking or I'm lousy at identifying. But Muhammad Ali, by far and away, wasn't even supposed to be there. Got a call from J.A., who was out of town, saying 2 friends were in. Could I take them? We got there around 11:30, somewhere in there, around 1 in the morning. We're in the rear of the floor, I was looking toward the front, and I see this little blur entourage starting to come through the floor. And we thought, this looks like something's happening. And the crowd parted a bit like the Red Sea. And there he is. And there is, on the internet, you can see photos of them surrounded by normal
John
dancers.
Roca, I think, took that picture because
I actually have a photo with him.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he only there once?
I think so. I mean, it's him and me and his associates with him. But
Wow, that's a treasure. I have one of me with you in it of Ken Norton.
Ken Norton, right?
But that's not.
Who I thought was. Yeah. I thought it was the guy who played for the Yankees, Dave Winfield. But it was Ken Norton.
It was Ken Norton.
Yeah.
But Muhammad Ali, my brother Henry would give anything to have met Muhammad Ali. I mean, that's amazing. That is amazing. Well, what else is amazing is your handbook here. And Mark, let's do another song from
I would like
the documentation of it.
Absolutely. And let's hear My Baby's Baby by Liquid Gold.
Listening to the Marc and Myra Show on Studio 54 Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 54, of course. And we have today with us a very special guest and someone who was very kind enough to share with me his memories. Now he's sharing with me and Myra and the world. Mr. Robert Hay, Bob Hay. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and we really appreciate it.
Well, he's sharing with the book because you let him in, Mark,
Right.
95 times. So we have to give out. I don't know if you could thank Mark here. I think you did, which is very, very good because out of those 90.
He was very kind to me in the book.
And he just got it. You were too, and he gave it back. So this is like the instant karma book. And I must say, it is quite a very, very rare book because it also has the slides that you took of the club kind of in action. And, back then, you couldn't really take night shots. Like, you have to be a professional. Yeah. And you certainly captured the lights and the energy in your slides.
I wish the quality of the photos was better, so I apologize for how dark they are, but I was fascinated by the lights. And like I said, we looked at studio and wished we'd had that playpen of lights to work with, particularly the columns.
Yeah, well, and you have little notes on each of the 54 nights that you selected. You've also titled them, which I think is fascinating. You've also taken pictures of your notes. So did you the book sort of wrote itself? You just kind of edited it and put it all together? Did you write the notes currently, or were they from your notes when you were there?
My notes when I was there were pathetically short, so I had to write bit by bit. A lot of stops and starts. I had a lot of long-haul plane rides over the past year for business, and I kept telling myself, rather than watch movies, write. So I just write. And if I was in strange time zones, sleepless, I'd get up and write a little bit at night rather than just lie there and try to go back to sleep.
That's kind of what I'm trying to do with the French language currently that I took for school in 6 years, and all I can do is read it but not speak it. So because that's back in the day, that's how they taught you. Here's a book in French. Learn the verbs, and there you go. So, I know I have to stop watching like TV and movies. Actually, do that.
But you revered it, and there's a certain respect and like awe of being in studio, like you said, you're the grateful. You come through with that.
I look at it with two lenses. One is a gaga-eyed studio devotee, almost childish devotee, still 40 years later. And I fully admit that. And the other is someone who advised a lot of world-class brands. No brand I've ever touched has cultivated desire like Studio 54 did. Everyone wanted to go there. People flew in from all over the world. Someone died trying to get in Studio 54.
Rumor.
Oh, okay.
They were dying to get in, but nobody died. but just some of the titles: Unthreatened, Integrity, Untamed, Celebration, Allure, Relax, Convergence, Comfort, Evaporation, Patterns, Engulfed. It definitely, you captured, I'm sure, exactly what Steve and Ian were trying to have someone walk in and feel.
I have massive respect for those guys. I think Ian Trigger is the most underestimated and underappreciated visionary in New York business. The guy just did his 4th chapter with Public Hotel a week ago. Yeah, I've said to people, name someone who's had 3 chapters. Muhammad Ali had 2, Ronald Reagan had 2. Trump wants to think he has 3. We'll see. But 4 chapters, and he's done it brilliantly every time. And I felt if I was going to write a book, I'd better do it as brilliantly as I could to honor studio.
Well, Ian, there's a brilliant article recently in the New York Times about his life lessons, and I loved reading it because it was so true. Like, don't sell give away a Basquiat, number one, but also, trust your gut. And you obviously had some kind of, intuition about, I'm going to document this. And, 2 years ago, something inside you clicked to how you put it together. So if somebody's listening out there among the millions of people in satellite radio, how do they get their own copy?
Well, I always regarded myself as a gnat, the insect gnat. And so I self-published. I didn't use a distributor. There are no ebooks. There's no e-commerce. So if you email me at 54nats.com, 54 nights is taken, so, sorry, 54nats@gmail.com, 54 G-N-A-T-S.
Okay, well, we'll put that on our Facebook page.
Okay, I'm happy to do that.
So they can actually buy a copy
They
from
can
you.
buy a copy direct, and
Okay.
I'll find a way to get it to them.
Okay,
So,
and will you sign it too?
if they would like it signed, I'll sign it in
Because you have
silver on the black
you have
pages.
silver thanks to your wife and thanks to your daughter, who's the one that pushed you to do the book. But I love some of the wonderful gems that you have in the book, and one of the things that you say about it, it's a post-recession article in the New York Times, and it's discussed the link between happiness and experiences, citing 3 drivers of happiness. Anticipation that precedes experiences, actual experiences, and memories that result. Sitting here right now, the memories that result are right here in this handbook, and you must. That's something to be proud of, Bob.
Thanks, Myra. I mean, you all gave us the memories. All we did was discussions and notes, just try to store them away somehow and appreciate what we had. And we took it for granted, honestly. I mean, I look back now, I think I went 95 nights. I should have gone double that. Really.
Well, I don't know if we ever took it for granted, but I sure wish we took notes more. I sure do wish we took pictures, even though, it just wasn't the culture, but it sure would have been fun if I had a picture with Muhammad Ali. At least you managed to squeak some out.
Yeah, I know Roca took that one, but, of course, it's in my nowhere storage space. But
Yeah, you probably have a lot more to come up. But in this world of today with social media, and you're not even in the now, you're getting a picture and you're missing out looking at the person in the eye. But the memories, certainly the memories are what we all have. And you remind us of that. And now we can actually hold your memories in hand. And the name of the book is 54 Nights. Did you design the cover?
I did. I did the concept, and for those who can't see it, the I in Nights is the column light, because that was Studio's signature feature to me. And then my niece actually had the bright idea to put Nights in all caps, because that was truer to the column light having no dot above it. Mm-hmm.
So this is a family affair, I must say.
And a friend told me, get my name off the front cover, which is the best piece of advice. So now it looks more elegant.
Well, we will have all your information on our Facebook page when we run this show, and we really, really thank you. And if there's anybody else out there, I kind of have a feeling you're probably one in a million that documented their time at Studio 54. We'd love to have you as well, but we're so grateful to you, Bob Hay, for coming on the show and sharing your beautiful, wonderful memories and your playlist.
Well, thank you both very much. This is a tremendous privilege for me. I never expected any of this. So, thank you.
Well, Bob, thank you so much. And maybe I'll put you on the spot. You can pick a song that you like from the...
If I can go to another season, I'll pick my all-time favorite, My Love Is Free, Double Exposure.
Awesome choice. Awesome choice. Thank you so much, Bob Hay. And thank you out there for listening in.